Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall and will pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started.
Good evening. It is August 24th, about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. All right, let's run through this real quickly before we hop into weather warnings and news, and then we'll come back and do an in-depth review. So, yeah, notice how the area of focus here is shifting to the central U.S., and during the day, there's just so much activity, which is unusual because these towers get more sensitive during the night. But it looks like tonight we've still got some action here on the East Coast. I might as well tell you now, but every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that it is simply Doppler radar used to track systems, help us with forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory is that these towers are equipped with technology that allows us to manipulate the weather, whether it's steering storms, causing droughts, excessive heat, etc. At night, we can see the towers really showing what they're doing. Either that or they're turning them up at night. But it's well known that at night they do get more sensitive, or in drier areas it'll get more sensitive. But regardless, these are showing more activity than normal. Now, we've been seeing a lot of blue and a lot of green for the last several weeks, but that's not normal. It's supposed to, at nighttime at most, it'll look like this. Like some blue, maybe a teeny hint of green, mostly no. But now this is just excessive. This isn't as bad as it was right before the hurricane hit, though. That was intense for over a week. We were seeing a lot of green. And there was a point where we actually went over a month straight with so much green, far more than this. And then all of a sudden it stopped. But yeah, the areas where we see this kind of activity, it tends to indicate where the crazy weather is, like where the excessive tornadoes are going to be, or where the severe drought is, where the excessive winds are, where the hail is going to be, like the baseball-sized hail. And we've been seeing a constant flow of severe storms in these areas with excessive flooding. Unfortunately, this area here got majorly flooded. We'll get to that in a bit. All right, let's start with weather warnings. Guys, I have to tell you about this dessert that I've been eating every night for like a couple of months now. I pour in this raw organic coconut water into a bowl, and then I put in frozen wild blueberries and frozen raspberries, frozen blackberries, and I cut up a golden kiwi, organic golden kiwi. Oh my gosh, they are by far the best kiwi. Although I've had a really good red kiwi before, way far superior to the green kiwi. Anyway, I put that all in here, and the coconut water freezes and they all kind of meld together, and it tastes like, it's like the most amazing sherbet tasting. And then as it melts, it just tastes like the best fruit punch ever. Anyway, let's dig in. All right, so we still have coastal warnings. We have another tropical depression incoming. There's a tropical storm that did veer northeast much sooner than Erin did. So it's way out there in the Atlantic. We'll pull that up. We do have some flood warnings still in South Carolina. And again, the coastal warnings are still in place on the eastern side. We have some thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings in New York, flood warnings near Binghamton. I'm used to saying Birmingham. Binghamton. And we have some not coastal warnings. We have beach hazards around the Great Lakes. We have some flood warnings in eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, central Kansas. We have severe storm warnings in the central U.S. and just general flood warnings, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. And we have excessive heat warnings still in Arizona, California, fire warnings and heat hazards in California, Oregon, Washington, some parts of Idaho. Pretty much the same old story, guys. We're still dealing with a lot of these issues. I do wonder, it's got to be air quality warnings over here. Yeah, air quality warnings over here. Canada has more strict air quality warnings than the U.S., so these areas would be under air quality warnings most likely if it were a part of Canada, but we're not. So they say it's all fine here. But over here, not good. Tropical storm warning up here. Erin's all the way up here. It is torn apart now. It is nothing. Ooh. What's going up here? Wow. Ferdinand is totally not a concern for us whatsoever. It dipped up north real fast. Dipped up or rose up? Rose up probably makes more sense. We have 99L here to look forward to, though. This guy is a tropical depression pretty darn south. So there's a chance this guy's actually going to veer off into the Gulf. Notice how all the winds are shooting out this way? This guy's probably going to catch this. Whereas Fernand was up a little bit more north, and it caught these winds here. But this guy's going to go probably pretty south. This might end up just hitting Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, instead of going up into the U.S. So we shall see. Ideally, it would just turn into nothing and evaporate, and no one will get hit by any of it. This guy we don't have to be concerned about in the U.S. This is heading into Thailand. Oops. And then we have 10E. This is off the Mexican coast heading north. This guy will likely shoot off into the Pacific pretty darn soon. Yeah, right around here it'll probably go this way. Hopefully it will not hit Hawaii, because the winds are going south. There's a shot it'll dip down a bit on its way out, but hopefully it'll do what the last one did and go north of Hawaii just before it hits. And air quality. Keys down here. Yeah, again, it's still bad over here. It's still bad over here. It looks like it's dipping down a little bit south, though. And this spot here, yeah, there's definitely something going on over here in Mexico, because that spot's been like this for weeks. The exact same positioning. Over here, it's been moving around a little bit. But this is a hot spot. There's something going on right there. And let's zoom out a bit just so we can get a clear... I just zoomed out. All right, let's look at the nitrogen dioxide high here. But again, this moves depending on the time of day. PM 2.5. This is like the aerosolized stuff. Yeah, this area is loaded with PM 2.5. Aerosols are higher actually over here today. Sulfur dioxide high over here as well. and the ozone. The ozone is what I've been concerned about. Looks like the ozone's finally coming down a little bit over here, but it is raising on the western side, and it looks like we have a pretty high amount of it here. I just want to know what's causing that. You know, and I know I've been going off on this every day, but ozone, I mean, thankfully it's starting to come down over here. It's been pretty bad. And no, it is not because of fire smoke, because we've been tracking the fire, haven't we? And we've been tracking the plumes. And in fact, this is funny because the air is actually a little bit better over here today. And this is the first time that we've seen the smoke actually going straight into this area. This is the most smoke this area has seen in a while. It's actually really surprising, because the air quality is better today than it's been. The other days, the smoke has been going up, super south, not really going over here, which is why it was so suspicious. This is very interesting to see. And the Canadian wildfire smoke is going super north, which is good because, you know, they've got an excessive amount of fires. We've got some fires for sure, but theirs is bigger. We have a huge fire, of course, going in the Grand Canyon. We have some pretty big ones forming in California, but they no way compare to the fires going on in Canada right now. So yeah, I mean, the air here is a little bit better. It's still, in general, not where I'd want it. I want our whole country to be in the green. I want it to be under 20 AQI. That would be ideal. Now, this is the USGS earthquake data center, basically. And these are all the earthquakes over the last 24 hours. There's an article about how, I just paused it to pull this up. So, numerous earthquakes have been detected in the past 10 days in South Carolina, which is interesting because the official tracker that I'm using, it isn't really showing anything. I mean, there's one here, 2.1 magnitude, South Carolina. But this article is saying that they've had a dozen earthquakes. Now, again, the earthquake map I'm showing you has just been the last 24 hours. Maybe I should change the parameters to the last 10 days. All right, I just changed it to the past 10 days, and it is not showing anything. It's showing one. Let's see what this article has to say about this. This is... Yeah, so, I mean, this isn't like a fake website. This is a local news channel.
Hello, everyone. Well, over the past couple of weeks, South Carolina has experienced close to a dozen earthquakes, most happening within the past 2 to 3 days. So the most recent earthquake happened Saturday afternoon around 3:19, a little more than 7 miles northeast of Greenwood, and that's about 65 miles west of Columbia, with a 2.1 magnitude. The earthquakes have been minor, with many coming in at magnitudes less than 2.0, which usually go unnoticed. However, a few in the past 10 days did have a few folks talking, especially in and around Greenwood, which, as you can see, has been the general vicinity of most of the recent seismic activity. The most notable earthquake happened just after midnight Saturday, registering a 3.0 magnitude, and so far on the United States Geological Survey website, usgs.gov, more than 235 reports of light to even moderate shaking have been submitted.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because I have the parameters set to a 0 magnitude from August 14th to today. I have the map including the area. And yet... And yet the only one showing up is here. And this isn't even in the area that they're talking about. So that's a local news station. I'm just wondering, maybe these folks aren't feeling an earthquake. Maybe they think they're feeling an earthquake. And maybe the news is, I mean, if I were to put my tinfoil hat on, I would say, Maybe they're trying to cover up something else that's going on. I don't know. I mean, isn't that weird though? I think it's very odd that supposedly they had so many earthquakes up to, what did she say, a 4.0 magnitude earthquake, yet it's not registering on here. It's not showing up. This shows you all the earthquakes. So why isn't it showing up here? So that's odd. All right, let's move on. Tropical storm Fernan to strengthen on its journey across the Atlantic as 99L approaches the Caribbean. Let's see what they're going to say about this hurricane. I haven't seen anything about it from these guys yet.
National Hurricane Center, the latest tropical developments in the Atlantic. 2 key updates. Tropical storm Fernan gradually strengthening in the central Atlantic just days after we said goodbye to Erin. And the odds have been lowered for tropical development regarding Invest 99L. So Fernan, we take a look at the storm gradually strengthening. It's about 300 miles or so east of Bermuda. Now, fortunately, Fernan posing no threat to the U.S., to the island of Bermuda. It's just too far away. Now, 45-mile-an-hour winds, that's where we stand. So we've seen a bit of an upgrade by 5 miles per hour. North-northeast movement slowed up just a touch. Now, as far as Fernan goes, sitting in a pretty nice environment right now, but that opportunity to strengthen is limited. You take a look at our water temperatures, and we're sitting, I think, squarely, comfortably in about the mid-80s right now. With that north-northeast movement, we're headed towards waters that are less than 80 degrees, and so those cooler water temps are really going to start to shut off that thunderstorm growth, which typically then leads to the weakening of a tropical system. At the same time, with those cooler waters, we have drier air, so that's going to start to disrupt this system. Though we've got a nice plume of moisture kind of fending off that. It's going to get picked up by that jet stream. Our hostile strengthening enough is definitely through the 4 miles an hour thing up, and we'll see an update coming in with the 5 o'clock advisory when it comes to invests, right? We'd see that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 8 o'clock in the evening. But the hurricane hunters, they've been flying through this system all afternoon. And, well, what they've found is not very supportive of a tropical system. We are expecting a bit of a long haul for this system as it pushes through the Lesser Antilles. The odds have been lowered to 30%. The hurricane hunters did not find a center of circulation, and those winds really not that impressive. I mean, we were talking most gusts or most sustained winds upwards anywhere between 10 and 30 miles an hour. But nonetheless, we will see showers and storms, gusty showers and storms push through the Lesser Antilles. And that's actually kind of a bright side to this story. They need the rain. It has been dry and drought conditions across the islands. Into the next few days, we are expecting dust, and you can see the plume of it that it's been battling over the last 12 hours is going to stick around, and strong hostile winds. This is a fast-moving system.
Oops.
And not only does it get caught up in those easterly trade winds across the Caribbean, but it is going to continue to shear apart that structure. And so the model consensus is if it makes it out of the Caribbean, it's likely to just be a ragged moisture surge that eventually works its way up towards Costa Rica and Nicaragua.
Yep, that's where I was saying it was probably going to go. And the dust. So we've talked a lot about the Saharan dust and how it's been preventing these hurricanes from even forming. See, it's been coming across. And Erin was able to make its way over because a lot of this dust was going south. There was room for it. But this guy, this 99L Invest is going to be coming right up into this dust. So it's going to have a tough time with that much particulate flowing around. And we did cover some of the flooding, but there was continued flooding into yesterday as well.
This is a no-wake zone, people. Look at this. Oh, my God.
The rain, in fact, did not stop in Charleston on Friday. Dangerous flash flooding caused major issues on the roads in the South Carolina city. In fact, downtown Charleston set a daily rainfall record on Friday when they saw over 4 inches. That nearly doubled the old daily record, which was set back in 2008. A reminder, if you are driving and see flooding, turn around, don't drown.
Are you
This is another report from yesterday.
really here in South? I mean, they had dealing with some heavy tropical moisture. Now, a lot of this is not really related to air, and we have a stalled out frontal boundary, but some moisture is getting pulled along it. For a spot like South Carolina, I mean, they had record rainfall even to finish out the work week leading into the weekend. We are not done with the flash flood threats. Charleston specifically was hit with over 2 inches in just 30 minutes. That was on Friday night. You can see the results, a lot of flash flooding there. And they're not out of the woods just yet. Now, if you look at just the broad scope of the Southeast in general, yes, we've got some scattered showers and thunderstorms moving right along the Gulf Coast, but it's really here in South Georgia and specifically across South Carolina where that moisture is getting pulled in and pushing onto shore. Specifically for Charleston, their National Weather Service office is saying that several waterways are already running high. Church Creek near West Ashley, French Quarter Creek near Huger, and Ireland Creek at Walterboro. So some of those spots, if it sounds familiar to you, they could rise above flood stage, and they are calling for the chance of some coastal and urban flash flooding with a coastal flood advisory issued at least for the rest of this morning.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing today. And the Carolinas aren't the only ones dealing with flooding. Here's another article about what's going on in, I believe this is South Colorado.
To track severe weather across southern Colorado, and we do have an update. So this storm that is currently over towards Eads, this is going to be 7 miles west of Eads, moving through Hawkins at the moment. We have a tornado warning. This is set to expire at 6 p.m. So if you are in the Hawkins area, even in the Eads area, I would suggest getting to shelter. Now, we do not have a report of a tornado with this storm at the moment, but it can definitely drop one here in the next few minutes. So if you are in that area, definitely take shelter. So here's where we are seeing the rotation with this storm. It's where we see this green and this red color kind of come together. So this rotation is south of Hawkins at the moment. So we are likely seeing this storm recycle, and all really that means it's just trying to get its act together and potentially produce a tornado. So as we go into the evening hours, we will continue to see this threat. But once the sun goes down, that severe threat will continue to go down as well. Now, some of these threats that we are likely going to continue to see, at least until then, will be some strong winds, some isolated flash flooding, and an isolated tornado is possible. We do have that tornado warning that is still ongoing. So if you see a warning pop up on your phone, take the necessary precautions.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching for that area tonight into tomorrow. And of course, besides all the flooding, we do have continuing wildfires. Wildfires are spreading in Oregon, California, as hot and dry weather lingers across the West. Yeah, these wildfires are getting out of control. Why is this happening? And one of the ways we have found Nexrad towers or something attached to the Nexrad towers or on the Nexrad towers, one thing that we've theorized is that, they are equipped with microwave technology. That's what the Doppler radar is. The theory is that they may be using microwave radiation far beyond what the official narrative suggests, indicating that it's possible that they might be microwaving portions of the atmosphere, which can create not only significant drought, dehydrated areas, major heat in certain areas, which can cause excessive winds as well around the outskirts, because wind is caused by when two temperatures collide, right? But, these areas being dehydrated, if they get ignited, the wildfires will spread rapidly, and that's what we're seeing. But California has been lit up. You see this over here? Now, this is kind of mild compared to what it used to be over the last couple of months. But generally, California doesn't look like this. It'll go like that. But there's been so much more green and blue coming out of that area. And it's been, we'll zoom in. But it's been around the fires. So you got to wonder, are these areas getting super heated up by the towers themselves? Like this area, everything here is pretty hot too. Oh, and you got to wonder also, are these towers emitting this much blue and green on radar because their power has been turned up? Or is there some kind of aerosol being dispersed into the air that they're picking up? More so at night when they're more sensitive. You notice how the rain, it shows up as green and blue. Well, this is showing up as green and blue, but it's not moving. It's possible it's in the air. In the air. All right, let's zoom in. I'm going to focus on these states. I'll do the central states last. All of this blue is more than what I'm used to seeing. I don't like seeing this flame-like radar coming off the coast of Oregon and Washington that's usually associated with fires. And there are fires. We already know there are fires here. But these tend to occur before fires even start. And then, like I said, all this kind of excessive green and blue is odd. See that flame-like radar coming off of the entire California coast, which again, I've seen that before fires ignite and continuing during fires as well. All these zip-zap, that's okay. So California always has zip-zaps. It's the only area of the entire continental U.S. that zip-zaps like this. But there's way more here than I've seen. What's about to happen, I don't think I've seen that before here. So we're about to get there. Yeah, that's weird. That doesn't normally happen. That's crazy. And you even see more flame-like radar. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Yeah, that tower's going nuts. That's weird. And it happened for, probably started around 1745 UTC, stopped around 2105 UTC. It's about 4 hours worth of time. And then these up here are going nuts still too. So you gotta wonder if there's anything causal going on there. And as I've been saying, all this blue and green is abnormal. At around 11 o'clock UTC, we're seeing a bunch of radial pulses coming from things that are not next-rad towers. This is not normal. This started a couple of months ago. And now we're seeing it everywhere. See all these little tiny circles? They appear at around 10:30 UTC. They start right around sunrise. So right around sunrise, there's something happening with the radar and some other kind of tower. I think these are all 5G towers that are doing that. All right, what else is going on? I would say there's probably, well, I don't know for sure, but possibly, well, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say possibly chemtrails over here, but this isn't as blurry as I'm used to seeing with those. So, I don't know. Can't tell yet. With the exception of the excessive blue and green, I don't really see much going on over there worth mentioning. Yeah, I would bet there's trails over here. We'll have to pull that up in a bit. And trails in the Gulf. I would bet there's probably some trails in the Gulf. play this a little faster. Yeah, I would say there's probably trails in the Gulf over Florida. Again, all this blue and green is too much. It either indicates that the towers themselves are producing a lot more energy than normal, or there's something in the atmosphere that these guys are picking up, or both. Yeah, that thing's been zip-zapping in that direction a lot for months now. And that is where a lot of these fires are. Could be totally unrelated, though. Just pointing that out. This whole area is getting a ton of action, even during the day, which again is abnormal that this is doing this during the day. Normally only see these kind of colors showing up on radar in the middle of the night. So there's whatever's going on here, it's excessive. So I'm wondering how people are feeling in this area. Any nausea, dizziness, vertigo, heart palpitations, headaches? Are you guys able to sleep? What's your air look like out here? Because that's not normal. That's too much activity to show up during the day. There must be something dramatic happening. Okay, so let's recap. This area is getting a ton of action during the day, more so than normal. I don't like it. In the middle of the night, it looks like things might be shifting. Well, looks like it's actually shown up on the east. Looks like last night was probably more central, but tonight it's going to be east and central. California is looking wild. I mean, that's definitely abnormal, the zip-zaps we were seeing there. And then, I would say let's look up trails over the Carolinas, the Gulf, and Florida. Let's move on to trails. And since there are so many new members here, I just want to show you what things used to look like. Trails over the U.S. used to look like this. Black, obvious lines that were high altitude. We can tell high altitude based off of the color key here. Black being the highest, purple being the lowest. Pink is its own little category. That's dust. But we had these all over the place. All over the place. And then the Iranian missile strike. Well, actually, USAID got cut, and then we didn't see a single trail over the continental U.S. for about 48 hours. And on satellite, but also on the ground, people were saying, oh my gosh, there's not a single trail. Then they came back with a vengeance. But then after the Iranian missile strike, they disappeared again. But then they came back, but they look different now. Ooh, sorry, I was just loading this. For some reason, it was taking a little while. But here we are today. And in the Atlantic, they still look the way they used to. Although today's kind of a slow day. But you see these black lines here? Yeah, so those are classic trails. Canada still uses them too. Kind of a slow day in Canada, but they're up here. Black lines. In the US, though, they now are lower altitude, and they spread really fast. See? Very faint, and they spread out into this haze and these clouds really, really, really quickly. Now, this is covering about the last 12 hours worth of time. Every movement you see is 30 minutes apart. 30-minute intervals, 12 hours worth of time. And Florida, I said I wanted to check Florida for trails. Yep, and Gulf. Yeah, a lot of trails going into haze all over here. I'm going to do 20-minute intervals, see if we can get more data. Yeah, guys, I can tell from NEXRAD if there are chemtrails. And the fact that I can do that means there is definitely something artificial going on, at least in my opinion, because I shouldn't be able to do that. Like, I shouldn't be able to look at NEXRAD, watch a storm, and know if the clouds going by are from planes. I shouldn't be able to do that if they don't exist. But how can I look at NEXRAD and know where the trails are? There are trails all over here, and these are flowing up into the Carolinas. There are trails all in here. You see that? Remember how I said, let's check the Carolinas, Gulf, and Florida? Trail, 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 trail. Trail, trail, trail. Hazing out. You know how I know? Because the systems look blurry. They're not defined looking. It looks like smoke. Green smoke is traveling over NEXRAD or something. And there's plenty of trails out here going into the Atlantic as well. All in here. All over here. And there's the system that thankfully never came close to us. And there's 99L. Invest. There's trails around it, which I don't like. There were trails around Aaron too. All right. This is a little glitchy because I'm trying to pull 12 hours worth of time. Thankfully, I'm running direct fiber to my laptop, or this would not even load at all. We got some trails out here coming into Texas, which does support the theory that maybe these towers are emitting what they're emitting because the aerosols in the environment. I mean, we got trails all in here. There's trails all in here. It's all big giant haze. Haze, 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 haze. Hey, 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 haze. Haze. Oof, and yeah. Canada, lots of trails going straight into where the wildfires are. And if these really are chemtrails, it's a disaster because if you're throwing heavy metal particulate all over, like a forest, metal burns a whole lot longer and a whole lot hotter than wood or grass or leaves do. So that's just exacerbating the fires, making them totally unmanageable. And Mexico ain't got nothing, know-how going on. And I don't see anything down here. As per usual. All right, I'm going to put this down to the typical hour and 40-minute loop as we switch satellites. All right. We are in the Southern Pacific, sorry. Forgot to tell you. Come on. You can do it. And there's that system here that I'm hoping does not head for Hawaii and goes either far north or far south. Santa Monica, California. We got trails in here, though not as many trails out here as we're used to seeing, huh, guys? Some of the most caked areas on the planet tends to be over here, but fairly mild. Still have, some going over Alaska, some going up here, some going across here. And some mixed in here. Not a whole lot, though. Kind of a slow day out here. All right, New Zealand. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, actually, hold on. I do see some trails right here, actually. And these are hazing out. Yeah, okay. There are some trails here. I know New Zealanders, they tell me that they sometimes see trails. And normally I don't really see any, but today I do see some off the coast. And these are probably going to turn into a haze that are going to come over. So New Zealanders, you can comment. Let me know what your skies look like in the morning. Let me know, do you look nice and blue? Or do they look like a white haze? California. Well, that's odd. I'm seeing a ton of trails here. And this is in that area where I have been seeing some, but they normally are very obviously contrails. And there's one thing about these trails that makes me think they aren't. Why I think they are contrails is because they're in little pieces all over the place. And there's a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them. The reason why I think they look more like chemtrails is that they're high altitude, they're spreading out, hazing out, and then dropping in altitude. I know that because they start off black and now they're turning red. These are starting off dark blue. Oh no, these are more black. It's hard to tell sometimes. But they're either way, they're changing levels because they're changing color. I don't know. Looks like there's something going on here. And India had this happen the day before they had crazy flooding a few weeks back. And I definitely took note of that because I never see anything going on over India. But I did then. And then I saw the flooding happen. Looks like we got some trails here too. And yeah, all over this area. Looks like China might be doing some stuff. But nothing going on over here. It's all happening all over here, but not over here. Yeah, I'm curious to know what kind of news comes out of this area over the next 48 hours. If there's any kind of excessive flooding happening in China or India or any of these countries here. All right, this is Africa. Africa never has anything going on except for some contrails, usually right over here. See, these look like contrails to me right here because they're not spreading out into a haze. They're all disappearing before they even get here. This just looks a little odd, whatever's going on right here. Just a weird pattern right here. It just looks weird. You know, I watch this stuff all the time, and I just figured I'd let you know when something looks a little odd. So maybe if anything strange happens, we'll remember that. It just looks weird, doesn't it? Like a wave. Look at that beautiful spiral. My gosh. And, ooh, okay, lots of trails heading over Spain, Portugal, and the haze of this is actually going to enter the very northern tip of Africa. Yeah, lots of it heading over. Guys, remember how I've been saying to look out for floods because you guys have been given the old probably Nexrad treatment. I don't think you guys have Nexrad towers. You have a tower that's very similar, but you guys have been dried out like crazy. You guys have wildfires, and I've been telling you, pay attention to storms because if you're following the same pattern as the U.S., then you might have some pretty wild rain. But yeah, this is crazy right here. So many trails heading over to Spain and Portugal. even just flowing on over the rest of Europe, going past Italy. So be wary of that. All right, my friends. Thanks for joining. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.